Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Lisa and today I am closing out October paycheck number 1. So I'm using the Budget Moms Budget by Paycheck workbook and I am currently flipped to the expense tracker for October paycheck number 1. So these are all of the transactions that came out and any deposits that went into my account. So I'm just going to quickly kind of go over this with you. It took me a while to do this, and I'm sorry that I didn't get this up before my my next paycheck, but I really wanted to take some time to understand what I had done and have a plan on how to do it better. So this is a checking account, and I started with $209.22, and my income was $1,500 for my paycheck, which is the normal. 250 went automatically to my Roth IRA. I don't see that money. It's deposited by my employer. I went to Walmart and I spent $50.92 on groceries. And then I went to the pharmacy to get my medications, $6.09. For household, I spent $10.74. I know this was something on Amazon, but honestly, I couldn't even tell you what. I did pay my rent. That was $400. I spent $42.31 at Chewy.com to buy stuff for the kittens. I went to Sonic and got, I know what this was. This is an Oreo Blast with a Coke Zero. Ugh, guilty pleasure. I did have Etsy income of $114.47. Etsy is paid out at the beginning of each week. I went back to the pharmacy. I'm trying to get all my medications to be filled at the same time, so I'm not having to go multiple times. But I had a prescription for $3.67. I went back to Walmart and I spent $28.86. And then I had an unexpected expense, which Carol Ann needed $100. So she's not working yet, and she doesn't start working until November the 6th, I think is her start date, but they're paid monthly, so she won't actually get her first paycheck until the end of November. So I may have to help her out a little bit more between now and then, but I did give her $100 so that she could pay for her licensing, and it was a little bit money left over for gas. I did have Etsy income that next week, $49.89. I spent $100 to have my house cleaned. I went to Kroger and spent $6.12. I did get gas for my car. $31 was what it cost to fill that up. I went to Family Dollar and spent $14.34. This was on household supplies. I made my donation to K-Love. That's a contemporary Christian radio station. And I have a $30 a month donation. Now, usually this is earlier in the month, but if you remember, I didn't have a debit card for a while. So this was a makeup donation for the one that I missed because my debit card wasn't here. And then here's where we like fall off the rails. So Walmart was having a sale, it's kind of like the Amazon Prime sale, and I found a chest deep freezer. I think it was $158 before tax, and because I want to really start stocking up, and Carol Ann has her own food. She eats a lot of frozen foods. I invested in a deep freezer. And so I spent $170.93. And this is where the eye-opening part is. And somebody had commented this a while back, and it's so true. Like, doing a budget is great, but doing this part of it where I show you whether or not I was actually able to stick to the budget is, this is important information, not only for you to see how I've spent my money, but also for me to see, what I did during this paycheck cycle and what I actually was able to contribute to savings and whether or not I met my financial goals. And so I'm really glad that I got this workbook. It was a little expensive, but I think in the long run, it's really going to help me stay on track. So this is where I fell off the rails. Then I got something else at Walmart that was household. I couldn't even tell you what, $52.15. And then I think I did I have these transactions for food? I think this was a part of this Walmart purchase right here, this $52.15, because I wanted to grab some things. Then Carol Ann said, "Oh, I need to pick up some things. Can I add to your order?" And on the Walmart app, when you hit add to order, it does individual transactions. So this is for Carol Ann, $8.86, $19.70, and $5.23. So I like Walmart delivery because it keeps me out of the store. I'm really starting to appreciate that. But then when we add the order and it does these individual transactions, it drives me bonkers. And then on the 11th, I gave my son $200 to pay off his cell phone so he could move over to Mint Mobile. And then I also had Etsy income of $11.79. Netflix came out $16.65, and I did end up putting $158.73 in savings, which left me $171.73. So then we get into like the categories of spending. So for kittens, I spent $42.31. On automotive, I spent $31. Household was $247.89. Food was $127.03. Housing is $500. This is rent plus cleaning. Fun, which was Netflix, was $16.65. I spent $300 for gifts. Savings was $369.46. And then medical was $9.76 and donations were $30. So this was everything that happened those 2 weeks. Now I'm going to flip back to my budget. And I've already filled all this out because I wanted to make sure that my numbers were correct. So here is the budget and the actual column. So for income, I budgeted that I was going to receive $1,500 in income, but what I actually received was $1,885.37. So that was a combination of my regular pay, Etsy income, and my rollover, what I started with, the $209.22. And here's where it got kind of complicated, and I'm not going to do this anymore. Setting aside half of my bills, in theory, sounded like a great idea, but when I went to close out my budget, the actual column, I was like, well, do I put that I set aside half? No, because I didn't actually spend that money, so it's actually going to be a rollover. And so I don't think I'm going to do this anymore. I think I'm just going to pay whatever is due so that I can more accurately keep track of what's in my account. I'll still keep a rollover amount, but I think this made it just way too confusing. So I did pay rent, so that was $400. The electric wasn't due, so even though I set aside half, I didn't spend anything in that category. The trash still hasn't been paid, even as of today. It's not due until the middle of November, and they need to be paid by check or money order, which is ridiculous. So I had to order checks. So trash isn't paid. I did make a K-Love donation of $30, which, isn't the half. It was, so I'm sure you can see now why this is getting really confusing. Internet wasn't due yet. Amazon wasn't due yet, and neither was Hulu. Netflix was due, so that was $16.65, and I spent $100 on house cleaning. So my total expenses I budgeted was $711, but what I actually spent was $546.65. So it completely changed my budget, and this is where I fell off the rails, is because, and I don't know, I think it's because I see like X number of dollars in the balance that it kind of almost gave me permission to overspend. I'm just not making the connection with my brain. So I have some plans to do this better next time, which I'll get to at the end. But anyway, so I had $1338.72 left over. So for food, I budgeted $100, but I spent $127.03. Household, I only budgeted $10, but I spent $247.89. Kittens, I budgeted $40, but I spent $42.31. Gas, I budgeted $40. I only spent $31. It's the only category I was under in. Medical, I didn't actually budget anything, but I spent $976. So that left me, so total, what I budgeted was $190, but what I actually spent was $457.99. So that left me $880.73. So we go up here to sinking funds, and I went ahead and threw the gifts in this category because it really didn't belong anywhere else. So this was the $200 to my son, $100 to Carol Ann. So that left me with $580.73. And then come down to here, I did put $250 in my Roth IRA because it does it automatically. And what I actually put into my emergency fund was $158.73, but I budgeted $349. So that's a huge difference. So after calculating all of this, what I am left over with was $172. And when I did my calculation on, and I'm off by a little bit, I'm not sure where, and it's not worth finding it. This is 170, 173. So I'm off by some change, but I'm just going to have to let it go. But here's what I'm going to have to do differently, I think. So I've already done my next budget, but I think what I'm going to have to do starting in December is not set aside half of my expenses, because when I'm closing out, it's just making it way too difficult. And the money that I have left over is not really accurate. So I'm going to not do that, and I'll just do a line item for rollover, so I know what that money is earmarked for when I'm doing the budget. And then I am going to reevaluate my categories and be more mindful of my spending, because I definitely went over in almost every single category. So what ended up happening is that I set aside a lot less than I wanted to in savings, and that needs to be the first thing that I do, is move my money to savings and then pay my bills, and then whatever is left over is for variable spending. And if, let's say I have $100 budgeted for food and $100 for kittens, but I only spent $50 on kittens, I'm okay with taking that money and reallocating it to food if I needed to. But I can stay within my budget. I just need to change the numbers around a little bit more to be a little more realistic. So this was definitely eye-opening for me to see how I spent. And this paycheck, honestly, is kind of very much like this, in the sense that I feel like I'm already over budget, but I haven't written down my transactions yet. So I'm going to have to, take this paycheck for the first paycheck in October, and the second paycheck in October is like a learning experience. It's very eye-opening. I thought I was doing so well with my money, but clearly I still have a lot of area to improve in, and then make some real changes for the first paycheck in December so that my spending is more in line with my financial goals, which is ultimately to save for a house. And only setting aside $160 of $349 is not going to get me any closer to that goal. And last thing I will mention to you is that I did take, Patricia is a longtime subscriber, and she always sends me thoughtful comments, on how I can better do my budget and all sorts of things. I can't even think. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning right now. My alarm for work is about to go off too. Anyway, she suggested that instead of doing my emergency fund, that I take from my house savings to fully fund my emergency fund and then start saving in again for my house savings. And that's what I have done. So I am back at $10,000 in emergency fund savings, but dipping into that house fund to fully fund it only left me with, it was less than $2,000. I want to say it was even $1,500. So I am starting over with house savings, but y'all, I have a plan. I'm going to do the 100 envelope challenge. So what I'm going to do, I know these are like $1 to 100, but my bank only spits out 20. So I don't know how much I'm going to be able to save, but like the $1 or envelope number 1, I'll probably put a 20 in there. And for 28, I'll probably put 40. So I'm going to utilize the 100 envelope challenge to help me save money for my house savings. And that way I'm also doing some cash stuffing on my YouTube channel, which is really fun as well. It'll help keep me motivated to stay on track financially so that I have money to contribute to my savings challenge. So that's it. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Are you kind of in the same boat as I am? Have you kind of gone off the rails or tried to do different methods of budgeting that didn't work for you, and what's working for you now? That is everything for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting my channel, and I hope you guys have a great day or night wherever you're at. Bye.